Hi everybody, welcome back to the Imperfect Empath. My name is Stephanie Johnson and I am a licensed professional counselor associate as well as a Texas licensed professional school counselor. And today I just wanted to come on and do a quick video about the difference between a 1099 and a W-2 employee. So if you're interested in learning more about this, please keep watching. So if you're new to this channel, I am a full-time school counselor that works part-time as a clinical therapist. And I do videos that center around school counselors specifically transitioning into the world of clinical therapy. And in one of my recent videos, I discussed me deciding to add clinical experience while working full-time as a school counselor, and kind of hashed out what that would look like in real life. I've been learning tons, and I've started this channel so I can share some of those tidbits along the way. And one of those tidbits is learning the difference between a 1099 and a W-2 employee. This became such a huge point of discussion between myself and my supervisor, just because she wasn't sure if being hired on as a 1099 was going to offer me the same kind of structure and oversight as a W-2 employment contract would. And so let me explain a little more about that. So first thing, I want to go ahead and read a definition. So I've got my cheat sheet here. A 1099 independent contractor is a tax-related and legal term referring to an individual who contracts his or her services out to other businesses. An independent contractor is considered self-employed and is not considered an employee of the practice. The 1099 worker pays all of their own income tax in addition to self-employment taxes. A W-2 employee is an official employee of the company or private practice whose taxes are withheld from and whose earnings are reported to the IRS at the end of the year via a W-4. The practice owner participates in, the practice owner participates in paying the employee's state and federal taxes and has the ability to control how, where, and when the work is performed by an employee. So why is this important? And I will point out again, for those who are new to the channel, I live in the state of Texas, so I would definitely look into some of these terms and what this means for you in your state. I do want to make that clear. So in my situation, I'm being hired on as a 1099 independent contractor, not an employee. And so I've given you the definitions, but I kind of want to break down the pros and cons, because it's not that being hired on as a W-2 is better than being an independent contractor. I think it just depends on your personal situation, which is why I think it's important to really figure out the differences between the two and to figure out just what works best for you. So even though I'm coming on as a 1099 contractor, a 1099 independent contractor, I have to get used to saying that. 1099 independent contractor, I want to start off with what being a W-2 employee means and the benefits. One of them being that you will get paid a flat rate no matter what. Now, of course, this is all going to depend on who your employer is, but just the standard is that W-2 employees get a flat rate. Whoever your boss is, now this is outside of your supervisor. Again, I'm looking through the lens of an LPCA, not a fully licensed LPC. But whoever your boss is, they will be the ones responsible for paying you. There is no direct pay from the client to the therapist. It goes through the agency, through the practice. And in addition to your boss paying you, they would also be the ones responsible again for withholding your federal and state taxes. In the state of Texas, we actually only have federal taxes, not state. Another benefit is that you can actually get paid for work outside of direct client services. So that means meetings you might attend, workshops, anything in the workplace, you can get paid for that. Other benefits include health insurance. Employers may offer you a significant package for your work as a W-2 employee, and there's also workers' comp. Not to mention the additional oversight that may be important to you. I mean, you may not be ready to step out on your own and be responsible for marketing and different things like that to bring in clients. Again, you have a supervisor there to help you, but even still, W-2 employment does offer that additional structure and oversight that you would not get as a 1099 contractor. All right, let's talk 1099. That's me, independent contractor. So going back to pay rate, with a W-2 employee, I mentioned that you get a flat rate and that you can also be paid for work outside of direct client services. Well, as a 1099 employee, your pay rate may be higher, but you don't get paid for work outside of direct client work. You are your own boss, and so you don't really have the means to pay yourself additional unless you charge your clients more. Because I work with a group practice, I've already negotiated what my rate is going to be, and there's usually a split between the therapist, and I'm going to be on a 60-40 split. Once I'm a fully licensed therapist, then that rate can go up, but that's where I'm starting at right now. So speaking of pay, I have to be responsible for withholding my own taxes. I don't have someone to do that for me. So I'm gonna have to kind of dive in on that end and figure out how much money I need to put aside. Golden rule is to put away about 30% of that take home. So when tax time rolls around, you have plenty set aside to pay your federal taxes. Again, I live in Texas. I don't pay state taxes. Other things that I don't get is health insurance, but I'm not really worried about that because remember, I am a full-time school counselor. I already get health insurance. So again, you kind of have to assess what works for you. If I wasn't fully employed as a school counselor, I don't know, not having access to health benefits might be a little troublesome for me. Also, how I get clients. So I'm at a group practice, and essentially those clients are going to be filtered through the practice, but I also have supervision, so there is an opportunity for me to get clients both through the agency and through my supervisor. Now, that really doesn't have anything to do with being a 1099 independent contractor, but I thought I'd just throw that in there. And another thing is the legal liability. Because I am an LPCA, I do have my own liability insurance, but I'm also covered under my supervisor's liability insurance. The practice doesn't have that much of a responsibility when it comes to the legal aspect of it. So I figure between my insurance, my supervisor insurance, I feel like I'm pretty covered here. So I know I'm talking a lot about the things that I'm not getting as a 1099 independent contractor, but something that I'm getting that I'm actually a little bit more excited about is control over my own schedule. Yes, it is true that independent contractors can make their own schedule. I get to decide how many clients that I want to work with, whereas with a W-2 employment status, you work for that agency, you work for that practice, and so they dictate how many hours per week you need to work and whether or not you are going to work on site or you're going to work via teletherapy or a hybrid of sorts. I'm choosing to do a hybrid version. I've already talked with the group practice and have given them my dates and my times. Now I get to have a key to the office, so when others aren't using the workspace, then I can come in and see clients. So one thing that should be mentioned is that in some scenarios, not mine so far, you can be brought on as a 1099 independent contractor, but still be expected to function as a W-2 employee. Let me make that make sense. So remember how I mentioned that I get a say over my schedule? Well, some employers, or some practices want to have a say in when you come in and how many hours you need to work. Well, in my contract, I negotiated that I would work at least 10 hours a week. That was like bare minimum. If I want to do more, I can. Actually, if I want to do less, I can. But that's something that we've negotiated, and it's something that I'm working towards. If I don't get to the 10 hours right away, I mean, it's not going to make or break my employment status. However, there are some agencies, there are some practices that are going to want to have more of a say. They're going to want to have more control. But you have to remember, if you are being brought on as a 1099 independent contractor, those things should be negotiable. I think that's a word. But if they're giving you like, nope, this is it, this is kind of make or break, then I don't know, that would make me question what their intentions really are. I mean, if I'm not going to get the full benefits of being a W-2 employee, I don't think the agency or the practice, I don't think that they should mandate things if I'm not a W-2 employee. So just a quick review, just going back, breaking it down. Things to think about when deciding if you want to go the W-2 route or the 1099 route. Think about pay rate. Think about access to benefits. Think about taxes. Think about work flexibility. And think about legal responsibility. Overall, what you envision for yourself as you kind of dip your toe into the clinical side of therapy. So I hope this video was helpful, short and sweet. And please, if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and share. Thanks, you guys. See you in the next video.